Welcome to Quantum Conversations, where we explore the energetics of healing, from frequencies to metaphysics, technology to astrology, from science to nature. Everything is energy, even you. My mission is to help you feel empowered to take your health back into your hands. My hope is that you will open your heart and your mind to a universe full of possibilities and join me for this healing exploration. Let's discover a new dimension of wellness together. On this episode, we're chatting with Megan Smith, who is the founder of Harmony Restored, a company focused on helping individuals heal from the stress that is at the root of their physical and emotional pain. Megan is a certified emotion code practitioner, author, healer, and mom to 6. She has been sharing her healing work with clients for over 10 years. Megan shares her healing work privately with one-on-one clients and also empowers women on a global scale through her proprietary healing system called Rooted in Health. Megan is passionate about helping individuals and families create radiant health, effortless joy, lasting energy, so that they can fully participate in their lives again. Megan is also president of Guiding Arrow Nature Camp. Guiding Arrow is a nonprofit with a dream of opening a regenerative farm and healing retreat center specializing in nature camp for children and young adults on the autism spectrum. Guiding Arrow specializes in providing transformative outdoor experiences in a safe and nurturing community for families and children who need it most. I'm so excited to introduce you to Megan today to dive into all things energy healing. If you've experienced emotion code before, if you're new to this modality and curious what it's all about, if you're a mom on a healing journey for yourself or for one of your children, or if you don't know where to start but feel called to try energy healing, this episode is for you. Well, welcome, Megan. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to dive into our conversation today because emotion code has a very special place in my heart. And you were one of the first people that I reached out to when I was first getting certified as an emotion code practitioner. And I've always appreciated your professionalism in this energy healing space and the way that you run your business and also the really amazing projects that you're working on. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Yes. So you have been doing this for a really long time. You've worked with some of the top practitioners in the industry. And for those who maybe aren't familiar with emotion code, can you share a little bit about what it is, how it works, and how did you get started with this energy healing modality?
Yeah, so the emotion code is a form of energy healing developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And the whole basis of the emotion code and the body code is to dig into the subconscious and to clear out trapped emotions and other imbalances that are causing someone's physical, mental, emotional dis-ease of any sort. So I have clients come to me that, are deep in physical illness, chronic illness. I have, anxiety, depression, financial issues, relationship issues, whatever it is, there's going to be some sort of emotional baggage tied to that. And so the emotion code works really well, especially for people who have done everything and tried everything. They've been to therapy, they've been taking the right supplements and doing all the stuff. And they still can't quite put their finger on, like they know something's going on, but they can't put their finger on it. And so that's what emotion code is really good for. Obviously, we can dig deep into, how it works and all that, which I'm happy to do. But basically, we're just using muscle testing to find trapped emotions. Trapped emotions are the leftover energetic stress or baggage that gets stuck in the body or in the energy field after an emotional or stressful event has happened. So say you're 3 years old and something happens, and rather than, processing it and letting it go, we are told, we shouldn't be crying about that. We bottle stuff up when we learn, and that we do that all throughout our lives. And then all of a sudden, we find ourselves in adulthood with all of these different issues, and we don't know how to deal with it. And so emotion code's really great for getting back into that old deep stuff, that some other things, traditional things like therapy, just can't touch. I got into this because so I've been a practitioner for almost 11 years, and I have been, working with the emotion code for much more than that. My oldest son just turned 18, and he was diagnosed with autism when he was young. And I went on this journey of healing him and dove deep into, all things alternative health. And just kept hitting a wall. And over these few years of working to help heal him, my own health and mental and physical started to decline. Tons of anxiety, got diagnosed with Hashimoto's, and and I was so frustrated because I was like, okay, we're eating this perfect diet and we're doing all these perfect things and spending all this money, and we all feel worse than we did before. And
Yes.
so, yeah. So, and I was like kind of at this point where I'd kind of given up on all of it and just said, okay, like this is too stressful. It's not working. And so I'm just kind of done. And a friend of mine from college reached out, and she was like, hey, I know you guys are like struggling and you're open to all things crazy and woo woo. And so can I, I'm getting certified in the emotion code, and are you cool if I work on you guys? And I was like, fine, I don't even care, and that's when, obviously, famous last words, my son's speech started to improve, his eye contact started to improve, his meltdowns went down, I started to feel better, my anxiety started lessening, my thyroid numbers became normal. So it was just like one of those things that I just couldn't believe, how quickly it all seemed to shift things around. And for us, people are always like, well, is it just emotion code? And I just say, at least for us, like it was the last piece of the puzzle.
Right.
And it was the thing that kind of, I felt like once we brought emotion code in, then I felt like everything else started to work the way that it was.
Right. Yep.
And, for us, it just did not come down to gluten. It did not come down to supplements. It just came down to the mental and emotional stress that we were under. So, and that's kind of a nutshell of what it is and how I got here.
Yes, and our journeys are so similar, and I love that you touched on a lot of different things there, that you can be trying to do what seems like all of the right things, and yet you still are not feeling better. That was my exact experience. I was like, I can't eat food that is any more healthy, or organic or nutritious. I can't take any more supplements. What is this that is still blocking me? And most times people don't realize there is an energetic root to those blocks, and it's emotionally anchored. So because you've been doing this for a while, I'm sure things have evolved over time. How would you say your approach to energy healing, just maybe healing in general, has evolved since you first started as an emotion code practitioner?
Let's see. That's a really good question. And I think when I first started, I was so new to the whole world of energy healing that I didn't understand a lot of it. And so I was very by the book and very like, this is what we can clear and this is how it looks. And as I have worked with people 5 days a week for almost 11 years, it has evolved in the sense that I realize healing is so much easier than we've been led to believe. And not just that, but that it's easier, it's accessible for everyone, and there is so much more to the body than we think. And that anything can be healed. It is not, I have people who are they come to me and they're so deep in like just kind of wellness culture, lingo and they've got food allergies, and they're like, it's their holy grail, right? And they just think this is how it is and this is what we need to do. And when we bring in energy healing, it's so much more fluid, and we can transform things that we thought we couldn't very easily, to be honest. And so it has, the way that my practice has transformed is just kind of doing things by the book, to realizing none of us are by the book, and that each person needs something very personalized and different for them. And it's really, really fun. It's really fun to just have a new client come in and to see it as kind of this blank slate, and just like, all right, let's go and let's see where this takes us. And I always just tell people, I'm like, I get so excited sometimes when I'm on the phone with my clients, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And because it's just this, it's like this beautiful web that we start unraveling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here it comes. Like, and it just all comes up, and we get down to that root cause. And, I don't know. That's just so beautiful for me. That's a little off. I kind of went on a tangent there.
That totally makes sense. Because yes, there is like a very by the book way, especially with a modality like emotion code and body code. And now the belief code is available as well. It's a certification that you go through, and it's a couple of books that Dr. Brad has written, and it's kind of very XYZ. This is how you do things. But when you tap into the world of energy, you can't help but reveal things that were totally unexpected, or start seeing things, start tapping into your own maybe clairvoyance or your own intuition, clairaudience. There's all kinds of wild things.
Yeah, it's so fun. And it's, I have some friends who, do energy healing, but very, very differently than me. And it's always just so fun to talk to them, and how kind of, no matter like, on our biography, our bio, it's like, this is, I'm an emotion code practitioner and they're this, but we always end up kind of coming back to the same root. We just get there differently. And it's so cool when we're able to, to work with people and always end up kind of finding the same thing. And I think what's just so beautiful is that the body is so wise. And I think wellness culture, if it is, if it's diet, exercise, supplements, whatever, it's such a rigid, masculine, boxed in way of seeing the body. And that's just, it's so much easier than that. It's so much less complicated. Our bodies are very, very simple. And that's what I love about this work, how it's transformed the way that I see us as human beings, really.
Yes, I'm so glad that you touched on this, because there is a hamster wheel of healing that people get stuck on, and you can become obsessed with your healing. Like, even when I started off as an emotion code practitioner, I was wanting to sit down for like hours every day. Like, ooh, I'll muscle test this. Ooh, what if I could clear this? Ooh, what, my kid needs this. And you can get like stuck in this tunnel of everything needs to be healed, that you almost forget to live your life. So yeah, can you just speak a little bit on that, about why it's so important to not become obsessed with
yes,
you stop living your life?
I can speak to that very personally, because yes, I was obsessed as well. And it was that obsession on the other end of the spectrum, where it was food and supplements and all of that. And then my obsession kind of shifted into, okay, well, now we're going to muscle test everything. And like, now I need all these supplements, so I have to buy these because they all muscle test it. And, so you can totally spiral out. You can totally go down that rabbit hole. And really what it is coming to a place where, like, to recognize that it's a means to an end, that it's not that these energy healing modalities, that all these healing things are not meant to be your God, right? They are meant to get you to a place where you come back to yourself. They are not meant to be the thing that creates your entire identity. And so the really cool thing is that over time, what I recognized in myself was that I was able to shift from, same thing like you said, muscle testing everything, to just being able to use my intuition. And so I like to think of muscle testing as training wheels for the intuition. And so a lot of times at this point, I don't have to muscle test things. I just have a knowing, and I
Yes.
can trust that. And so I used it as a means to an end, not as the thing, right? And so I allow the emotion code and muscle testing and all of these modalities to bring me back to myself instead of losing myself and throwing myself into the thing. And where so it's a process for sure, but and I think a lot of it is using the power of your own mind and the power of your of choice to choose what you want your life to look like. And if you want to spend your life completely obsessed with, the next best healing modality, then like that's okay, but make that choice, right? Don't let it consume you and take you over without feeling like you've decided that. And I decided I didn't want my life to look like that. So I made a different choice, and I let emotion code and muscle testing and these things to be there as a support in the background, but not as the main character in my life.
Yes, that is so important. And I feel like that gets lost on people a little bit because as a healer, as someone who is getting certified in a new modality, where all of a sudden you have the ability to clear energies for someone and see transformations take place in those other people, you can almost get a God complex out of that. You can get sort of this ego of like, wow, look at what I can do. So let's speak a little bit to this sort of guru mentality that a lot of healers have, because there are so many people claiming to be energy healers out there. It can be a bit daunting for people to choose someone to work with. So, if someone is looking to work with really any energy healer, an emotion code practitioner, what qualities should they look for? And maybe even more importantly, what are some red flags?
Um, let's see. So the whole like guru culture thing, I just really don't like. And I think it really goes, I think as far as if you're trying to find a healer for yourself, you need to find somebody that you feel good about. So different healers are going to attract a different type of person. The
Mhm.
type of person that I really like working with and that seems to always show up for me is somebody who's just kind of uh, grounded, down to earth. Like, I'm super stressed out and I'm in this like crazy cycle, but like, let's get real here, right? I'm just kind of more of that person where I talk very candidly with my clients, and I can have a potty mouth, and that's just kind of how I do my thing.
Right.
And because I don't, and I always tell people like, this is like, if you become a lifetime client, I'm not doing my job.
Exactly.
And that's a big red flag, is somebody who's like, well, we're going to just have to do this forever and ever. And I always say during a consult or during my first time session with somebody, like, this is not chiropractic care. You do not need to come back in every 2 weeks for the rest of your life. Now, do I have some people who want to come back every 2 weeks? Absolutely. But they know that they do not need to. And I'm like, listen, girl, like, I'm here. I will support you. And if this makes you feel better, that's awesome. But like, you got this, you're okay. And I just, so I always tell people like, this is not, we get in and we clear what we need to clear and we get out. That doesn't mean that, other stressful things aren't going to happen and you might need support down the road. But like, so I think somebody telling you that you need to be doing this, 3-year, intensive, that's going to be a pretty big red flag. Somebody giving you some like non-personalized protocol that they just give to everybody is another red flag for me. Again, because we are all so unique. Our bodies are unique. The cycles of life that we're in, everybody is unique. And so somebody giving you kind of just like a flat out, this is just what I need all my clients to do, I
Yes.
think is bullshit because everybody needs something different. So, yeah, as far as the guru thing goes, I always try to remind my clients that you are your own guru. You are the magic pill. It is not outside of you. And the goal of the emotion code or any work that I do with my clients is to get them back to a place where they can be their authentic selves and they don't need anything. And if they do need anything, they can know with surety because their intuition is really clear. And so anybody who makes you feel like you need them, that's probably a pretty big red flag.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you were able to speak to that, because when someone is experiencing energy healing, and there's two people, right? There's like the healer and there's the person receiving the healing.
Mhm.
It creates this idea in your head as the person receiving the healing that the only way to do that now is with
Yeah.
this other party.
Yep.
And what I want people to understand is you are unlocking it for yourself.
Hmm.
You're essentially like creating space and finally trusting and making a decision to release it.
Yeah.
So although someone is like helping you, would you say that that's true? Do you think
Yeah, yeah. I think the healing begins as soon as they make the decision to book an appointment. I don't think the healing begins when we start talking to each other, and I don't think it ends when we stop talking to each other. I think the healing begins because they've made the decision, this is what I'm going to do now. And that's where the power of our own mind comes in is, again, if you decide I want to have to rely on this person for the rest of my life and give them half of my money so I can be balanced, then that's what you're going to do, right? But if you say, I have decided to release X, Y, and Z so that I can receive X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to use this person as a support system to get started. And then in 6 months, this is what my life's going to look like. Then guess what? And so it's all about perception, the power of choice, choosing what you want it to look like, and making that and moving forward. And so I think, um, and even for me, when I was getting the emotion code work done, like
Mhm.
I had that feeling at first for sure of like, I need this person, this is great. Um, but I remember her kind of at the end starting to kind of push me away so that I could, because the whole point is for me to start like becoming more and more of myself, not becoming reliant on her. And I'm really glad that she did that, because then I was able to tune into me, be authentic, come back to my wholeness, remember that wholeness, and move forward with my life instead of just being stuck in that continuous cycle of needing to heal. And so I just think that's really important for if you're looking for a practitioner, to make sure that they kind of have that mindset, but also going into, that yourself as a client is to not go in being like, all right, this person's going to save me,
Yes.
and yes, they are going to be there to support and facilitate. But that's what I always tell people, like, I'm the middleman. I'm just like, I'm facilitating this. This is all happening like for you. I'm not doing anything. I mean, I am, but I'm just because moving some bricks out of the way so that you can have more clarity and you can get back to living your life.
Yes.
Um, and I think for me, getting to that place of having the ability to see the power of my own mind and to make choices for how I wanted my life to look. I don't think personally I could have gotten there without the work I had done with the emotion code, because the emotion code for me is what cleared the filter, cleared out the junk enough so that I could be like, holy shit, what am I doing? This
Mhm.
isn't who I am. This isn't what I want my life to look like. And then I was able to have that clarity and that insight for myself to know what I wanted my life to look like. And so it's like, it's that first step, and having that practitioner there to kind of hold your hand right at first, and then you realize I've got this, and then you're able to do it on your own and move forward.
Yeah. And people can have really high expectations. It's almost like that comes from the negative programming of Western medicine,
Hmm.
where people think I have to rely on something externally outside of me, and they just tell me what to do. and then I do it because I don't trust my own inner knowing and intuition. And you can get in that exact same trap
Yep.
with holistic healing and
Oh
energy
yeah.
healing. And people can have such high expectations for what they're going to experience, and like, oh, just a few sessions are going to completely change my
Yes.
life, which I have seen, I have witnessed
Yes.
that. But what other healing tools do you think are important for people to incorporate along with their energy healing?
So kind of like what I've been saying, but a second in line for sure is recognizing and utilizing the power of your mind. And that is not to say that you need to be in complete control of your thoughts 24 hours a day, because we can't. We have to understand the nature of thought. We have to understand the nature of the mind and how it works. And that, for the most part, it's just like, it's just monkey mind, right? A lot of the times, but to intentionally set aside a little bit of time each day to shift your mindset away from the monkey mind and into more clarity and intuition, and really able to touch into your true self. That's such a huge key. And again, the biggest thing, and I keep having this one client in particular come to mind, and she's a beautiful woman, so talented, and she, for some reason, it's not clicking for her yet. And I have told her so many times, I've said, listen, I love you. You are amazing. Like, you don't need to heal anymore. Like, you are actually not a sick person. And this is what I need you to understand. And it took me a long time to understand that too, because I had created this idea that I was sick and there was something wrong with me, and I needed something or someone outside of me to fix me. And that comes from my upbringing, that comes from wellness culture, that comes from everything, right? And I have tried to express myself to this client in the best way that I can, to let her know, like, listen, girl, like, you are okay. And now it is time for you to make a choice. And she just doesn't think that's enough or good enough, and she wants more healing and more healing and more healing. And so waking up every day and deciding who you are and what you want your life to look like is more important, in my personal belief system, than what you're eating, than what supplements you're taking, how much what kind of exercise you're doing, all that stuff. And that's not to say that diet and exercise and all those things are not important, because they are. I'm not saying, sit around and say like everything's going to be amazing and then sit on your ass and eat McDonald's all day. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that our minds have more control over our lives than we realize. And so I would say energy healing, power of mind, power of choice, power of personal choice, to make your own life decisions, and then get outside, get sunshine, get in nature. After that, make sure you're getting lots of good nutrient dense foods, but don't stress about food. Don't stress about supplements. Don't stress about all that stuff. But as long as you are getting outside, getting in nature, getting a walk, laying in the grass, all that stuff is more beneficial to the body than all the other stuff that wellness culture seems to focus more on.
Yes, I would agree with all of that. That is now what I recommend to people as well. It's so important for us to really just kind of let things go, to stop taking ourselves so seriously.
Right.
Especially
Yes.
like healing can feel so heavy and so
Yes.
serious. And the mindset thing is really something that I've tapped into this year. I started doing Joe Dispenza meditations. And even though like people talk about it, people say all the time, your mindset is so important. It's so important. Until you start doing it.
Yeah.
Until you really start setting aside the time. And that took me completely rescheduling my workday.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where you are like, this is it. Boundaries, right? Like
Yep.
boundaries.
Yep.
I
Yep.
am sitting down to meditate for 30 minutes. I deserve this. I am worthy of this. And I need this.
Yes.
And it really is so transformative.
Yeah.
So I'm sure because you've been doing this for such a long time that you have seen some really incredible transformations in people. Do you have a couple of stories that come to mind that you would like to share?
Let me think for a minute. There's so many awesome people in my life, as far as my clients go. I have one in particular that always sticks out. One of those just kind of fun ones, because I have so many people that are just, um, it's not some, big, huge, miraculous story, but it's this kind of quiet, I just start to feel better and I'm more myself. And that's what I wanted, stories, right? But I have one client who is, this was years and years and years ago. She was a dancer and she had hurt, there was like a nerve in her back that had been just pinched and all this stuff for a long, long time. Had been to, chiropractors and physical therapy and all this stuff. And it was not why she came to me. She came to me for a completely different reason. And then she ended up bringing that up, when we were talking. And I was like, oh, interesting. Well, let me just see if there's anything there. And so we clear something and then it's just bam, and her back's better. And she's just like, what just happened? What did you do? I was like, I didn't really do a lot. Like, I just found what was there and cleared it. And now you feel better. And it's those kind of, like, I love those kind of stories because it's just a lot of times the healing is more subtle than that, but those big ones are so fun, when you have somebody that just feels better instantly. Um, and so I think it's more, and those are kind of those big sensational stories that we're always looking for. And you do get those as a practitioner, but really, I think it's more beautiful when it's just, it's a regular day and you are sitting down at the computer and you get a story from a client of just like, hey, I worked with you a year ago and I just wanted to let you know, like, I'm still feeling, better and this has changed and I've, changed my career and like done all these things that, you a lot of times as a practitioner, you just don't hear about afterwards,
Yeah.
and you hope that you've done something good for them. And then you really get that validation. And it's not these huge, big mountains crashing together kind of experience, but it's just these normal people like you and I who just feel better and feel happier and have more joy. And I have had so many people that have left toxic relationships and changed careers, and to just be able to be a witness to that, to someone stepping into their authentic selves and being who they were here to be. It's just so fun. And I feel so honored to just be able to stand back and kind of witness someone else making those transformations. And so yeah, I have a hard time kind of picking out one specific story, but it's just so many little things like that are just so cool. And children, right? Like, I work with kids all the time, and so kids losing fears, autistic kids starting to talk, like, it's so cool.
Yeah. So, how has being an energy healer impacted your role as a mother? Because you're talking about, working with kids, and I feel like kids receive this type of healing so much better than adults
Yes.
do, and they can have amazing transformations. But as a mother of a child on the autism spectrum, how did this change the dynamic of like your relationship and the way that you approached raising your kids?
Um, so I have 6 kids. I have 3 and my husband has 3.
Mhm.
And we have 2 boys on the spectrum, and we have others that are just children with emotions and all those things. And it's such a gift to even just muscle testing. I'm sure you know, like, when a kid gets sick. Now my kids are getting older, so they're kind of out of that like little kid sick phase.
Right.
But when they were younger, and I just wanted to know what they needed for supplements or for support during that was so helpful. But I think it is kind of, doing this work has transformed the way that I see, um, us as human beings, like I've said before. And so it's transformed the way that I view my children, and I view them in a way that, like, I see that they're here for a purpose, and I see that there's nothing wrong with them. Because I think before, I held that core belief that there was something wrong with me. And it wasn't always necessarily health related, but it was just something I had held my whole life. And then as an adult, when I was working to support my son when he was little, I got thrown into health and wellness culture. And so that's how it started to show up. Is there something wrong with me? I'm sick. I'm this, I'm that. And so I think I started to, because I viewed myself that way, I viewed them that way.
Yeah.
Like it or not, as subconsciously or consciously, I was viewing them as something's wrong with you. If that's physical, mental, emotional, or something's wrong with all of us and we need to be doing something different. We need to be doing something better. And it was this kind of crazy perfectionist obsession energy that was so deeply negatively affecting my family and my kids
Yeah.
that was able to move past and completely transform the way that I not only see myself, but the way that I see them, the way that I treat them, and the whole energy and dynamic of our family transformed. Because I gave up the belief that there was something wrong with me. And I could not have done that without the energy healing. And so there are ways that it's transformed our family in a very like day-to-day kind of way. Like I actually got a text from my daughter a little bit earlier. It was like, I have a stomach ache. Do you mind checking in real quick or tuning in real quick? She's at school. So things like that, like they know that we can do, we can be our own healers in that sense. But the entire dynamic of our family life is completely different for the better.
Yes, it's so empowering as a mother to wake up to this concept of energetics of healing
Mm-hmm.
rather than the physical form of healing. Because, like you said, as a mother, really as any person, you can connect with someone that you love energetically, no matter where they are in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's through the quantum field. It's called quantum entanglement. But to be able to have that source of empowerment of like, I never worry about my kids because I
Mm-hmm.
know that they are always going to be protected and that
Yep.
I am always going to be able to check in on them. And it opens up your eyes to they may be having these certain behaviors
Yeah.
that you do not understand. You're like, we have a house, we have a great life. Why are you acting like that? And
Right.
then to be able to tap into them and see that they're frustrated or they are
Mhm.
feeling unloved or that they're feeling that there's unfairness between their siblings or something like that. And then just get this like other perspective
Yep.
of what's really going on. There is nothing more beautiful and incredible than that in a family unit, especially. And when I started doing this, my husband was just like, keep going. This is awesome. Our kids just keep getting better. Like our kids, but to stop having meltdowns and all of that stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but yeah, you can totally get trapped in that my kids need to be fixed
Yes.
mentality.
100%. Yes. And especially I have so many families that I work with that have children on the spectrum. And that's one of the big things that I have to help coach my parents through, especially with kids on the spectrum, is that there is nothing wrong with your child. And that is, for some people, that is a wildly mind-blowing concept. And I have so many moms come to me, with this laundry list of things that they want to work on for their kids. And my first question after they're done, going through that is always like, and how are you?
Yeah.
Because we know, for better or for worse, as mothers, we are the energetic gatekeepers of the house. And so if we are stressed and we are anxious and overwhelmed and thinking bad things about ourselves all the time and all of that, then what do we expect from the people that are learning from us, right? So being able to have this modality and in my back pocket as a mother to take care of myself, not just to take care of them, but to take care of myself, so that when they come home from school or whatever it is, I know that I'm in the best state that I can be in. And that's not perfect, for sure. I'm still a human, but knowing that I can empower myself to be in the right state of mind to help them thrive is such a cool thing, such a cool tool. And then to pass that on to them, that like, hey, whatever comes up, like we'll figure it out. And it's so cool to watch a family transform as we work on a mom.
Yes. Yes. I will say that could not be more true. And once I realized, because I have a daughter who experienced sensory processing disorder, which a lot of kids with autism also have some level of sensory issues.
Mhm.
She's not on the autism spectrum, but her sensory processing disorder was so severe that it really took over our lives.
Yep.
And it's hard to not think that someone needs constant fixing
Yes.
when what they are experiencing is constantly disrupting what
Yes.
you think your family should be going through, what a normal family looks like.
Yep. Yep.
And it really was when I finally let go and when I finally decided that I was not going to fix her. And actually, an energy healer friend tapped into my daughter, and my daughter's higher self said, "Just have patience, mom." That I was like, okay, I'm going to have patience. And when I did that, she blossomed into this
Yep.
beautiful being, and all of her issues went away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I mean, and a lot of times it is just the resistance to what is that creates that, that push pull energy, that constant conflict energy,
yeah,
where I think that was part of the issue. When my son was little, it was like, this is not how things are supposed to be. And so I got stressed and he got stressed, and I was constantly this, kind of
yeah,
feeling.
yeah,
And we have to stop resisting what
yes,
is and see it for what it is, and become content. And I think a lot of times, if it's our society or just the state of the world or whatever, a lot of people are not very content. And this process for me is all about allowing for what is, and once we do that, then things drop away and we can start to really come into our authentic selves and be content with whatever that means in the moment.
yes. And we can actually allow these things that we're experiencing in our families and with our children to inspire us
Mm-hmm.
see the world differently and to take a different approach and even to create new things. And I feel like that's what you and your husband have done with this new project that you're working,
Mm-hmm.
relatively new project that you're working on with your Guiding Arrow Nature
Mm-hmm.
Keeping, this new nonprofit. So why don't you share a little bit with us about that and what inspired you and why this is so important to you?
Yeah. So my husband and I started, it was actually all the kids' idea.
I love
And
it.
we were like, hey, you know what? We're both running two businesses. We have 6 kids. Like, why not start a nonprofit? So we added that to our list. Um, and we started about a year and a half ago. We started Guiding Arrow, which it is still in fundraising stages, but we're doing pop-up events and things, where the goal is to be a regenerative farm, and nature camp for children on the spectrum and their families. So
Love it.
again, we both have a son on the spectrum, and so that's clearly kind of where that came from. But it was just funny because the kids were all sitting around one day talking about, like, they all really want to, we live in the country but not like out in the country, and the kids all like really want to live on a bunch of land and do all these things, and that's what they're into. And they were like, wouldn't it be so cool, like, mom, if we had a place like where we could like bring kids and we could teach them all this stuff, and because my husband, they're like, Jason, he can like do all the like woodworking and survival skills and outdoorsy stuff, and like, mom, you can teach him yoga and like
Yeah.
mindfulness and stuff. And I'm like, you know what, that's actually a great idea. And so we did a lot of brainstorming, and we talked to a lot of people, and kind of came out in the community about a year ago, and we do a lot of like nature events outside for kids, on the spectrum and their families. And so, yeah, we're hoping to get to a place where we've got a full summer camp schedule for kids on the spectrum, kids with sensory processing, a week for kids with anxiety and depression, and then another week for entire families to come together and just have like a really cool outdoor learning experience where there's sunrise yoga, and we're growing and cooking our own food, and we're campfires and all of that kind of stuff to help, because we know how healing nature is, not just for the neurotypical, but especially
Mhm.
for kids with sensory processing and autism and anxiety and all of those things.
Yes.
So to create a space for kids and families to come and have that healing experience of being in nature, and to have classes and all these cool things so that they can walk away, feeling more grounded and more connected. Because like people just aren't getting that in the day to day.
Right?
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love this concept so much. I have always felt like jealous when I send my kids off to summer camp. Like,
Right.
I want to go with you. I
I want
want
to
to
go.
have those experiences.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
be doing all the fun activities and like do it together, but like with other
Right.
families. So, such a cool
Yeah.
concept.
It'll be cool. It'll be cool.
Yes, I love it. And you have a few other ways that people can connect with you as well, aside from one-on-one sessions. People can also work with you in your Rooted in Health course,
Hmm.
and you have a book, How to Heal Yourself. So why don't you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so rooted in health is kind of, it goes really long, really well alongside of working with me one on one. But if some people are not ready to do that, it's a great intro. It's none of the actual energy healing, of course, because that's
Mhm.
one on one, but it is all the coaching aspect. So it's all the mindset work, understanding our mind, understanding our thoughts, how to process emotions as they come up, it's all of that kind of things to help you acutely so that you can release what's coming up acutely and be more prepared when things come up in the future. And then How to Heal Yourself is a book that I wrote after all the years of not just my own journey, but working with the clients where um, it's kind of like I wrote it as what I wish I would have had 15 years ago when I was completely overwhelmed and spending $1,000 a month on supplements.
Mhm.
It is a reminder of your own power, a reminder of your own strength, and a reminder of what healing really means and how to cut through all the crap and the noise and really get back to the basics and what the human body actually needs to heal. And we're talking physical, mental, and emotional. So I wanted to kind of create something that is like a great guidebook for somebody getting started or somebody just swirling in circles on their healing journey.
Yeah, those are two incredible resources. I highly recommend them if you are just getting your start in energy healing or you're just kind of dipping your toe or curious about what all of this is. Megan is incredible to work with. I personally have worked with her in the past as well. I really appreciate her approach. And I just want to share a moment of gratitude to thank you, Megan, for being such a pioneer in this industry, for being so grounded in your approach to energy healing, for not taking that guru mentality, and for just running your business with such professionalism and grace. And I'm so excited to see what you create next, to see where this Guiding Arrow Nature Camp takes you and your family. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this episode and would like to connect with Megan to book one-on-one sessions, enroll in her course Rooted in Health, or download her book How to Heal Yourself, visit her website at harmony-restored.com. You can also follow Megan on Instagram at Harmony Restored. All of the links to connect with her are in the show notes and description below. I invite you to subscribe to Quantum Conversations wherever you're listening. New episodes release every Wednesday. Please share this episode with a friend so we can all discover a new dimension of wellness together.